How hard can it be to cast a vote? You fill in a bubble, you sign your name, you mail it in. Simple, right? Wrong. That signature you just scribbled could be the very thing that gets your ballot tossed in the trash. In states like New Jersey, if it doesn't perfectly match the one on file from 10 years ago, your vote is flagged. In Virginia, if you forget to get a witness to sign your envelope, your ballot is invalid. These aren't obscure laws for criminals. They are dumb, simple rules that disqualify thousands of regular voters every single election. Tonight, we're exposing the 50 dumbest ones. No politics, no complicated legal talk. Just a straightforward guide to make sure your vote actually counts. Ready? Let's start with number 50. Number 50. In many states, the deadline to register to vote is as early as 30 days before the election. Picture this. You get excited about an election in the final 2 weeks, you go to register, and you're told you're too late. You miss the window by a single day, and now you have no say. This isn't about security. Critics argue it's an arbitrary cutoff that punishes people who aren't planning their lives a month in advance. It's like a concert selling out before the main act is even announced. Number 49. Some states have a policy where your voter registration application must perfectly match your information from the DMV or Social Security. So, if your driver's license says Robert, but you write Bob on your form, you get flagged. If you forget your middle initial or a hyphen in your last name, you get flagged. This system has reportedly suspended tens of thousands of applications for tiny, meaningless typos. Your right to vote is hanging by the thread of a missing period. Number 48. You moved to a new apartment 1 block away, but you forgot to re-register to vote. When you show up to your old polling place, they turn you away. When you go to the new one, you're not on their list. At best, you'll cast a provisional ballot that might only count for federal races, not for the local mayor or school board. It's a simple oversight that can silence your voice in your own community. Number 47. The rules for whether an ex-offender can vote are a confusing patchwork that changes every time you cross a state line. In some states, a felony conviction means you lose your right to vote for life. In others, you get it back automatically. And in places like Virginia, it requires a personal appeal to the governor. An individual who has served their time could try to register in good faith, only to find out they're committing a new crime just by filling out the form. Number 46. If you're a college student, where do you register? Your home address or your campus dorm? The answer is you can choose, but you can't choose both. Registering in 2 places is a felony. The rules are often poorly explained, leaving students guessing. This confusion can lead to them not voting at all, effectively disenfranchising a whole generation of young voters who are just trying to follow the rules wherever they're supposed to be. Number 45. On your voter registration form, there is a signature box. Some election officials have reportedly rejected applications because the voter's signature merely touched the printed line of the box. Imagine your entire civic identity being erased not because of fraud, but because your G or your Y dipped a few millimeters too low. It's the ultimate bureaucratic technicality, punishing you for having handwriting that isn't perfectly contained. Number 44. Standard registration forms require a residential street address. But what if you don't have one? This rule disproportionately affects homeless citizens and those living on Native American reservations. To register, they sometimes have to draw a detailed map on the form describing their location, complete with landmarks. It's an absurdly high barrier that forces the most vulnerable people to pass a cartography test just to cast a ballot. Number 43. You fill out the entire 2-page registration form perfectly, but you forget to check a single box that asks, "Are you a U.S. citizen?" Even though providing a social security number implies citizenship, that one empty square can be enough for your application to be tossed out. There's no phone call to clarify, no second chance. Just a silent rejection because of one tiny, honest mistake. It's a pass-fail test with no room for human error. Number 42. If you don't vote in a few consecutive elections, some states assume you've moved. They send a single postcard to your address. If you don't respond to that single piece of mail, which often looks like junk mail, they can kick you off the voter rolls in a process known as purging. You won't find out until you show up on election day, only to be told you don't exist in their system anymore. You're punished simply for not participating enough. Number 41. In our digital age, you can sign contracts and file taxes with an electronic signature. But for voter registration in many places, you must print the form, sign it with an actual pen, and mail it in. This wet signature rule forces you to find a printer, an envelope, and a stamp, adding multiple hurdles that don't exist in other parts of modern life. It's an outdated rule that makes registering less accessible for younger people. Number 40. In Virginia, your mail-in ballot envelope requires a witness signature. That's right. You need to find another human to watch you sign your name and then sign theirs. During one recent election, officials reported that over 500 ballots were rejected in just one county for this reason. One election official said, "It's the number one reason we have to reject ballots. The payoff is simple. Before you seal that envelope, grab a neighbor or a roommate. It takes 10 seconds, and it ensures your vote isn't cast into the void simply because it was lonely." Number 39. Your mail-in ballot kit often comes with a small secrecy sleeve. Some states have strict rules that if you don't first place your ballot inside this sleeve before putting it in the mailing envelope, it's considered a naked ballot and will be thrown out. Thousands of votes have been invalidated because of this. It's a rule designed to protect your privacy that ends up canceling your vote entirely if you don't follow the origami-like instructions perfectly. Number 38. Does your return envelope need a stamp, or is it prepaid? The answer changes dramatically depending on your state and county. Some jurisdictions provide postage-paid envelopes, while others expect you to pay. This tiny 50-cent detail can create a moment of genuine panic and doubt over whether your ballot will even make it back. Number 37. You fill out your ballot with your favorite green pen. Bad news. Some ballot scanning machines are calibrated to read only blue or black ink. Anything else might be registered as an empty vote. While some counties have teams that review these ballots by hand, it's not guaranteed. Your vote could be ignored by a robot because your pen color was deemed too festive. Number 36. In some places, you must use a ballot drop box located within your own county. If you work in one county and live in another, you can't just drop your ballot in the box nearest your office. A ballot dropped in the wrong county's box, even just across the street from the county line, will likely be rejected. It punishes commuters and creates invisible walls that can invalidate your vote based on simple geography. Number 35. The rule in most states is that your ballot must be postmarked by Election Day. But what if the post office doesn't stamp it that day? Mail processing can be inconsistent. Even though you did everything right and on time, a delayed stamp from the Postal Service could cause your ballot to arrive late and be disqualified. Your vote depends on a system completely outside of your control. Number 34. Your signature on the ballot envelope doesn't match the one on file. Some states, like New Jersey, have a cure process. They mail you a letter giving you a chance to fix it. The problem? The deadline to return that cure form can be incredibly short, sometimes just a few days after the election. If you're out of town or don't check your mail immediately, you'll miss the window. The cure is a great idea with a terrible execution. Number 33. Your elderly neighbor asks you to drop off their sealed ballot. You think you're doing a good deed, but in some states, you've just committed a potential felony. Laws against so-called ballot harvesting can strictly limit who is allowed to handle another person's ballot, sometimes restricting it to only immediate family. A simple act of kindness could, in a worst-case scenario, lead to a criminal investigation. Number 32. It's the most basic instruction, yet it's one of the most common mistakes. You sign the ballot, but you forget to sign the outside of the return envelope. Without that exterior signature, your ballot is almost universally rejected. There's no second chance. It's like writing a brilliant essay, but forgetting to put your name on it. The work inside is perfect, but it counts for nothing. Number 31. You accidentally fill in the wrong bubble, realize your mistake, and cross it out. Then you fill in the correct one. A machine scanner sees two filled bubbles for the same race and calls it an overvote, voiding your vote for that contest. Your single stray mark, clearly corrected, can erase your choice for president, senator, or mayor. All because the scanner isn't programmed to understand human mistakes. Number 30. In Texas, you can use your license to carry a handgun as a valid photo ID to vote, but a student photo ID from a state university is not accepted. One legal expert for the ACLU called this discrepancy absurd and designed to make it harder for students to vote. The payoff is to know the exact list of accepted IDs before you go. A 10-minute check on your county's election website can save you from being turned away. Don't assume your ID is good enough, because the rules defy logic. Number 29. You have a valid state-issued photo ID, but it expired last week. In some strict voter ID states, that's enough to get you rejected. Other states might allow an ID that has expired within the last year. There is no national standard. It's a rule that punishes people for the simple act of aging or not owning a car. Number 28. A woman gets married and changes her last name, but her driver's license still has her maiden name. In states with exact match ID laws, this common life event can lead to a voter being challenged. Any small difference can force you to cast a provisional ballot, which may not be counted. Your identity is questioned because of paper that hasn't caught up with your life. Number 27. You're a student in Virginia, but you have a New Jersey driver's license. Can you use it to vote in Virginia? The answer is often a confusing, "it depends." Some states accept any valid government-issued photo ID, while others require an in-state ID. This creates a massive headache for millions who live, work, or study across state lines. A valid ID in one state becomes a useless piece of plastic in another. Number 26. The dumbest rule in some states is the one that doesn't exist. In about 16 states, including New Jersey, you don't need to show ID to vote. You just state your name. The confusion comes from national news stories that focus on strict ID laws elsewhere. Voters in no ID states get scared and might stay home if they can't find their license. The lack of a rule becomes its own form of suppression. Number 25. You have a valid ID, but the address on it is your old one. In some states, this is a red flag. Poll workers might question whether you're registered in the right precinct. You may be forced to cast a provisional ballot and provide proof of residency later. It's yet another hurdle that punishes people for not updating every document the moment they move. Number 24. Some states that require ID allow for non-photo options, like a bank statement or a utility bill. This sounds helpful, but it creates chaos. What counts as a utility bill? Does a cell phone bill work? Does it have to be a paper copy? Poll workers, who are often volunteers, have to make subjective judgment calls on the spot. A document accepted at one polling place could be rejected at another, just a mile away. Number 23. For many Native American voters, a tribal identification card is their primary form of ID. However, not all states accept them for voting. Some states argue that because tribal IDs don't always have a residential address or an expiration date, they aren't valid. This forces tribal members to obtain other forms of ID that might be difficult or expensive to get. It's a rule that disrespects tribal sovereignty. Number 22. To solve the problem of people not having an ID, some states offer a free voter ID card. The catch? To get the free ID, you need other documents, like a birth certificate. And getting a copy of your birth certificate costs money, sometimes $25 or more. This is a classic poll tax, hidden under layers of bureaucracy. The ID is free, but the documents to obtain it are not. Number 21. You don't have the right ID. Some states let you sign a sworn affidavit attesting to your identity under penalty of perjury. This sounds like a reasonable backup. However, voters are often intimidated. Signing a legal document with a warning about penalty of perjury can be scary, making people think they might get in trouble even if they are telling the truth. This fear can cause a legitimate voter to simply give up and go home. Number 20. You wear your favorite shirt to the polls, which happens to have a political slogan on it. A poll worker tells you to cover it up or leave. This is due to electioneering laws, which ban advocating for a candidate within a certain buffer zone, often 100 feet. The Supreme Court has upheld these bans, with Justice Roberts writing that polling places are for voting, not a forum for political debate. The payoff is to wear a neutral outfit. It's a dumb rule that turns your clothing into a crime, But fighting it on election day means you might not get to vote. Number 19. You just voted, and you want to post a picture of your ballot on social media. Be careful. In many states, taking a photo of your marked ballot is illegal. These laws were originally designed in the 19th century to prevent vote-buying schemes, where someone could demand photographic proof. While that risk is low today, the laws remain. Getting caught could lead to fines or even jail time. Your moment of civic pride could turn into a legal headache. Number 18. Your phone rings while you're inside the polling place. A poll worker might immediately tell you to finish your call outside. Rules in many jurisdictions strictly limit or ban cell phone use inside the voting area to prevent distractions and any potential for cheating. While the intention is good, it can feel aggressive and disruptive, especially if you're dealing with a personal emergency. It's a one-size-fits-all rule that doesn't account for real life. Number 17. In some places, there's a time limit for how long you can spend in the voting booth, sometimes as little as 2 or 3 minutes. The ballot can be long, with dozens of candidates and complicated local issues. Imagine trying to research a judge you've never heard of while a poll worker is legally allowed to tell you your time is up. It adds a layer of unnecessary pressure to one of the most important decisions a citizen can make. Number 16. It's a hot day and the line to vote is stretching for hours. A local group shows up to hand out free water. This act of kindness could be illegal. Laws against electioneering are sometimes interpreted so broadly that providing things of value to voters in line is prohibited. In Georgia, it's now explicitly illegal for outside groups to give food or water to voters within 150 feet of a polling place. A rule meant to stop bribery now stops basic human decency. If that sounded wild, wait for number 12. Number 15. The signature on your ballot is compared to the one on file from years ago. If they don't match, you're rejected. Non-matching signatures are a top reason for ballot rejection, making up 40.7% of all rejections in one recent election cycle. A spokesperson for the ACLU said, "No one's signature is the same every time. Voters shouldn't be disenfranchised by amateur handwriting analysis. The payoff here is consistency. Try to sign your ballot in a way that resembles your driver's license signature. It's a ridiculous game, but it's the one you have to play." Number 14. Signatures naturally change over a lifetime. An injury, arthritis, or simply the passage of time can dramatically alter how you sign your name. For elderly or disabled voters, the signature on file from 20 years ago might be physically impossible to replicate. Yet, the system is rigid. It treats a wobbly signature from an 80-year-old voter with the same suspicion as a potential forgery. This turns a natural part of aging into a barrier to voting. Number 13. There are no uniform standards for signature verification. Whether your signature is accepted depends entirely on the subjective judgment of the local election worker looking at it. One worker might see enough similarities to approve it. Another worker in the next county, being more cautious, might reject the exact same signature. Your right to vote shouldn't be a lottery based on who happens to pick up your envelope. The lack of clear rules creates an environment of arbitrary enforcement. Number 12. The people deciding if your signature is valid are rarely handwriting experts. They are temporary election workers who, in many jurisdictions, receive minimal training. In Florida, for example, the state offers a formal training program, but it's only a minimum of 2 hours. One voting rights advocate stated, "You have people making forensic decisions with 30 minutes of training." This isn't a knock on poll workers. It's a critique of a system that asks them to perform a specialized task without the training required. The payoff is clear. We must demand standardized, robust training for everyone who holds a vote in their hands. Number 11. If your signature is flagged, you might get a cure letter in the mail. But these letters often look like intimidating legal notices, filled with official jargon. They can be easily mistaken for junk mail or a notice that you're in trouble. Faced with a confusing document and a tight deadline of just a few days, many voters simply give up. The very process designed to help voters can feel so threatening that it scares them away from completing it. Number 10. You show up to vote but your name isn't on the list. They let you cast a provisional ballot. It sounds like a safety net, but it's more like a black hole. In many states, if you cast that ballot at the wrong precinct, even if it's the one you were mistakenly sent to, it won't be counted at all. Not even for the statewide races. It's an all-or-nothing system where one innocent mistake, often caused by poll worker error, erases your entire ballot. Number 9. This is voter purging. If you skip a few federal elections, some states flag you as inactive and send a postcard. If you don't return it, they can remove you from the voter rolls. In a single year, Ohio purged more than 400,000 voters for this reason. A government report said these purges are often based on unreliable data, removing eligible voters without their knowledge. The payoff? Vote in every election, or at least check your registration status online every year. It takes 2 minutes and ensures you don't become a ghost in the system. Number 8. An official piece of election mail sent to your address is returned as undeliverable. Maybe the mail carrier made a mistake. This single returned letter can be enough for election officials to flag your registration as inactive. You are now on the first step to being purged from the voter rolls, all because of one slip-up by the Postal Service. The burden is on you to prove you still exist. Number 7. A political group sends non-forwardable mail to a list of registered voters. Any letters that are returned as undeliverable are compiled into a caging list. That list is then used to formally challenge the eligibility of those voters on Election Day. It's a method that weaponizes the unreliability of mail delivery to create a targeted list for voter challenges, sowing chaos and long delays at the polls. From here on, every item has one detail you will want to retell. Number 6. You drive your grandmother to the polls and walk in to help her with the ballot. In some states, this is illegal. The law may require you to sign a form, under penalty of perjury, stating you are providing assistance. Some states even limit who can help. One federal judge called these restrictions a violation of the Voting Rights Act, noting that the right to vote includes the right to receive assistance from a person of the voter's choice. The payoff is to ask the poll worker for the assistance form before you do anything. It's a rule that criminalizes helping family, but knowing the paperwork is the only way to beat it. Number 5. In many states, your mail-in ballot must be received by the time polls close on Election Day. It doesn't matter if it was postmarked a week earlier. A delay at the post office can mean your ballot arrives at 7:05 p.m. instead of 7 p.m. and is rejected. You did everything right. You voted on time. But because of a 5-minute mail delay completely out of your control, your vote vanishes. It's the ultimate technicality, where the deadline isn't when you act, but when a third party completes their task. Number 4. In some states, any registered voter can formally challenge the eligibility of another voter. They don't always need to provide hard evidence, just a reason to be suspicious. This can empower vigilante poll watchers to systematically challenge hundreds of voters at a time based on nothing more than their address. Each challenge forces an eligible voter to defend their right to be there, causing massive delays and intimidation. Your right to vote can be put on trial by any random stranger. Number 3. In 2000, the infamous butterfly ballot in Palm Beach County, Florida, was so confusing that thousands of voters allegedly punched the wrong hole for president. The design had candidate names on both sides of a central column of punch holes. The county election supervisor later said, "The ballot was designed to be clear. I did not see the potential for confusion." Yet that confusion may have altered an election decided by just 537 votes. The payoff is to study your sample ballot beforehand. Take 5 minutes to familiarize yourself with the layout so you aren't tripped up by a design that values graphics over democracy. Number 2. In Pennsylvania, if your mail-in ballot is not placed inside the smaller, unmarked Secrecy envelope before being put into the mailing envelope, it is thrown out. In the 2020 election, over 21,000 ballots were rejected statewide for this reason alone. These were valid votes from registered citizens, tossed into the trash because they missed one pointless, bureaucratic step. It's the ultimate form of disenfranchisement by procedure. Number 1. In some areas, officials have allegedly engaged in precinct splitting. They might move a polling place at the last minute with little notice. Voters show up to their lifelong polling place only to be told they are now in the wrong location. One study found these changes can reduce turnout by up to 4%. A civil rights lawyer stated, These are not accidents. They are surgical strikes on the right to vote. The ultimate payoff is to double-check your polling place location the day before you vote. It's the single most powerful action you can take to combat the dumbest, most cynical rule of all, making it impossible to even find the front door. 50 rules, 50 ways a well-meaning voter can be tripped up by bureaucracy. The system is filled with traps, but knowing where they are is the first step to avoiding them. Check your registration. Read the instructions on your ballot twice, and always have a backup plan. Remember, rules vary by city and state. What's the dumbest voting rule you've ever encountered? Share your story in the comments below. And for more ways to navigate confusing systems, check out our next video on the 50 dumbest rules for your homeowners association.